Welcome back, everybody, to another shocking prison reality check episode of Lockdown 23 and 1. 1, 1, 1, 1, not Juan. That's right, shocking it is, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you remember the story we covered the other day about Ian Watkins, the inmate that got his neck slit in prison, HMP Wakefield, or aka Murder Mansion. Seems like another child predator has lost his life in the same prison. And I found one article, alright, that's kind of going to give a little breakdown of the situation from an inside scoop. And typically when, an article says that, it's usually, if I were to guess, coming from an inmate. A lot of y'all know word travels fast. It's hard to keep a little secret hidden. But something's definitely happening in this prison. I don't know if there's hits out on people with these kind of crimes. We're going to speak about it here in 1 second. But first, everybody's favorite part of the episode. If you're new to the channel and enjoy all things lockup and crime related, then this is absolutely where you need to be. Hit that like, subscribe, notification bell before you leave, and check out my beautifully assorted playlist with many more videos for you to start watching today. Alright, so before I break down the little bit of juicy details we know about this story, let's break down the prison a little bit. Since so much death has been happening here lately, especially with a popular person like Ian Watkins, who you think would be under watch 24/7 to make sure that he's nice and safe. That's how it is in a lot of cell blocks over here in the States. Well, obviously not in HMP Wakefield. And a lot of people might not know what HMP means. Before the Queen of England passed away, it was HMP as well. But the name's changed. When the Queen was in place, it was Her Majesty's Prison. Now there's a king, so it's His Majesty's Prison. Very easy, right? I believe I got it correct. If I got that wrong, man, I apologize. But it's called HMP Wakefield, or aka Murder Mansion. And it's definitely living up to that alias. But let's go ahead and speak about some of the living conditions, right? How are these inmates getting their hands on these guys? Because it's a high security prison. And typically high level prisons like that over here in the States, there's certain movements, lockdown statuses. Amount of time that you're in your cell compared to being around other inmates. Sometimes these inmates over here in high profile prisons in the States, they'll never be around another inmate for years unless it's outside in the dog cage with their hour out the cell. Because the other 23 hours of the day, they're in there by themselves. Hence my name, channel name, Lockdown 23 and 1. It's a lockdown status for people that get in trouble, or sometimes inmates are just terrified for their life. Keep in mind, like I said, Ian Watkins, he had the filthiest of filthy crimes. Not to mention he was extremely popular. But he got his neck slit and killed in prison, right? They arrested 2 other inmates for the situation, so that means he was around inmates that were able to freely get to him. This is the thing, over here in the States, a lot of these guys like Ian Watkins would go to a special block. And in this block would have similar inmates with the same kind of crimes. So nobody's mad at each other for what they did. They all did the same type of shit. They never end up getting got, and they end up living pretty well in the prison that they're in. Typically, they get in trouble, get moved to another prison or something like that, new cell block. There's an opportunity for inmates to get at them. But in HMP Wakefield, it's a little bit different of a story, if I were to guess, because it says most inmates share cells with cellmates. Exceptions are made, though, for individuals who have a history of killing or for those with highly contagious viral illnesses. It's also possible for an inmate to be in a cell alone for a short period of time if their cellmate is moved for reasons like parole and disciplinary action. But nowhere in this list does it say that the inmates will be housed by themselves based upon their crimes. It seems like it doesn't matter what your crime is. If it's a certain level, you're all going to be put in the same kind of block. And they're not separating them like they do over here, like I already said, in many prisons across the states. And that's how it should be. They shouldn't be in no special block, in a cell by themselves. They should go through the ringer just like any and every other person. So just guessing. I don't know if anybody's done time in HMP Wakefield could break down the situation a little bit more. There is a channel, though, that might be able to break down, the living conditions of these prisons a little bit better. He's from the UK, and I interviewed him quite a while ago, but it was a great interview. His channel name is, I believe, Behind the Bars. Yep, Behind the Bars TV with Ricky Killeen. Hopefully I pronounced his last name right. But man, he's been in the mix from the UK, and I think a lot of people over there on that side of the pond, and this side, can learn a lot from his channel. But if I were to guess without hearing any intel from anybody that's done time over there, these inmates with these filthy kind of crimes, they are not separated from individuals that don't have any. They have to be mixed up and mingled together a little bit. But let's go ahead and speak about the inmate dying. It's going to give us a little more intel on kind of the lockdown status and if he's around other inmates. The title of this article says child killer is murdered in Monster Mansion jail where Ian Watkins was stabbed to death. It says 3 prisoners have been arrested on suspicion of murder after a child killer was found dead in his cell. Keywords here, 3 prisoners. Typically, when more than one inmate goes after someone, it's usually planned, and it's planned to the point where they don't want the person to be coming back to life. That's why they send 3, usually 1 person to hold them down, or 2, and 1 person to do the work. It solidifies the deal with 3 stones instead of just 1. And keep in mind the Ian Watkins situation, he was got by 2 inmates, or at least that's what they're thinking. It seems as though these guys have movements around other inmates on a regular basis. So anybody out there with sex crimes in the UK, man, you better think twice. If I were to guess, the next round of inmates is waiting for their next victim to walk through the gates. It says that the prison service confirmed that the man was a 33-year-old Kyle Bevan, who was jailed for life for murdering his partner's 2-year-old daughter, Lola James, in 2020. Oh man, rest in peace to little Lola. Very sad, but Bevan was set to spend at least 28 years behind bars for the savage killing, after inflicting catastrophic head injuries on the toddler during a 6-hour attack. It says officers were called to a Category A HMP Wakefield at 8:25 a.m. on Wednesday following reports of a man being found dead in his cell. The death is being treated as suspicious, with investigations continuing. 3 men who are also prisoners have been arrested under suspicion of murder. The incident comes less than a month after the pedophile singer Ian Watkins was stabbed to death at the same prison. Now, Bevan, the inmate that was found dead, had denied murdering Lola but was convicted in 2023. Now, the reliable source, like I said, just a little tidbit of more information than anybody else. And like I said, the source is probably an inmate or a CO. Said that they discovered him dead in bed Wednesday morning with head and throat injuries. We think he was already dead last night, but was tucked up nice and tight. And when they did the lockup cell check, they thought he was asleep, the source said. Subsequent examination of the CCTV revealed that other prisoners going to and leaving Bevan's cell just before lights out, according to the source. Keep in mind, Bevan, the inmate that was killed, he killed his stepdaughter in her sleep on July 17, 2020. Seems like the inmates wanted to put him to sleep as well, with a permanent lights out. Man, oh man, if you were to ask me, this is definitely 100% because of his crimes. Inmates got him in bed while he was sleeping, if I were to guess, just like he did his stepdaughter. Man, you know what? I don't say this too often, but this story brings me a certain kind of fulfillment, justice-wise. And my condolences go out to little Lola's family once again. I'm not going to show her photo, you can go ahead and Google it, but she was just the cutest little girl. Very, very sad situation. But at least, like many people would say, the inmate got what was coming his way. The UK prison system, I'm here to tell you, the inmates are turning the heat up a notch or 2. Sounds like anybody with those filthy crimes going to old Wakefield better be walking around with hardback books around your throat, even while you're sleeping. I'm out here though, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to give you a little backdrop on this crazy story coming from across the pond. And look, if you want to learn more about international prisons and stuff like that, I have a playlist. There's not too many videos on it, probably about 6 or 7. But it's ex-cons telling their prison story from prisons across the world. And of course, check out the prison stories from across the states. If those stories don't deter you from prison, nothing will. In the meantime though, stay tuned. I got plenty more content coming your way. As always though, until the next time, y'all be easy, be safe, and stay free.